We'll get started here. So, Steven Spielberg's daughter.
Yeah, man, she's wilding out. I don't know what's wrong with that girl. To have somebody with that much, we talked about it last week, but she got into some more trouble, like some domestic abuse in Tennessee.
So I think this might actually lead credence to what you were talking about with the daddy issues.
Yeah,
I think that because like last week it was like maybe that's just what she wants to do because she has the money and she can do whatever she wants. But now it's like maybe she doesn't like her father.
yeah. It could go both ways. That's why I said just daddy issues, because most people say, yeah, that's what it is. They have an issue with their dad, or their dad was absent. I don't know what his relationship was like. I couldn't find really information whether they're beefing or not or whatever. He has two other daughters. I don't know. Maybe there's some family quarrel going on, and she just wanted to be like, "Look at me, Dad. I'm doing porn or whatever." You know what I mean?
But so she was beating up her boyfriend or husband.
I don't know. I don't know if it was a boyfriend. Didn't really get into. I think it was just a boy, like a friend or boyfriend or some shit.
Because when I think of like domestic abuse, I don't know why I always think of they're in a relationship with somebody. Like it has to be like their boyfriend.
Well, a domestic dispute could be you're at my house and me and you get in a fight.
Oh,
they're not going to say,
okay.
but in people's mind,
yeah,
they're going to be like, those two were living together,
yeah.
They're gay.
Yeah, right.
That's what would come out.
Because I don't know why. Like I always associate the word when I hear domestic with like you're in a domestic partnership. You're in a partnership. You're like dating or like and then that's what they call domestic abuse. Like that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it could, but it could once something's inside somebody's home. Mm-hmm. They just say domestic until they sort out all the facts and actually get what actually happened. And plus, when we're talking about daddy issues, that goes another way too, bro. Like that's kind of what I wanted to go to get off of, like her. Like she's just wilding out. I have no idea. It has to be something to do with her dad. Because if that was me, I'm Steven Spielberg in that position. I mean, I'm gonna do everything to stop my daughter. If we had a good relationship, there shouldn't be no need for her to do anything.
So what you're saying is, are you saying that maybe it's partially Steven's fault?
It could be. He could have, like, you know how it is, like things go bad between some people and their kids at an early age, and it never gets fixed, and strange. You see that all the time with people, but they can hide it because they have so much money, and they can be like, here's some money, don't go do that live, don't go do that interview. That's how they keep stuff like that quiet when they're rich and have money. So but on the other end of that, daddy issues too, that could go both ways. When you hear daddy issues, you think like maybe that dad was absent, bad relationship, but there could also be issues that a dad spoiled their daughter.
Yeah, that's true. I can see what you're saying.
Very spoiled, because I know I had to pull back a little bit with my daughter because the sons thought I was like, but I'm like, this is my, that's my baby. She's the girl. So I did.
You favored her. You favored her. Okay, you were showing her the love.
Yeah, I do. So, but have you ever, like, I've dated females that were spoiled by their dads, and it caused friction in between us because she was like everything she couldn't get. She was comparing me to her dad.
Right? Like my dad could do this. My dad.
Yeah. You don't want to hear that.
Yeah, let's be real though. I don't know. I'd be like, well, I'm not your dad, and I'm not going to live in the shadow of your dad. Go date your dad.
Right. Go talk to your dad.
Like,
well, that's kind of how it ended.
Yeah. Right. Like your dad's so great. Go with your dad.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's it. It was kind of creepy and weird to me because at what point do you break that attachment? It's okay. There's nothing wrong with your dad being there but that could be dangerous for a young lady once she goes out on her own. She's never going to learn those type of things. So, I favored mine. I did some things, but I also knew, like, I knew when to say no.
Yeah, right. Like this is too much.
Just because you're coming to me with the puppy eyes, that ain't going to work. I got to say no about some things. So that could go both ways.
Yeah, especially if it was something that was probably her fault. Like it's different when like something bad happens. Oh, I can help you out with that. But then it's like, oh, you did this,
right?
Like
they're just constantly defending every action she had. You see this in movies, and you know what I mean. It's usually with people that have a lot of money that they do that because they don't want to deal with the kid. So they just throw money at her because whatever they're doing is more important. You see that a lot. That's what I think that comes from. But there's nothing wrong with a healthy, being there for your daughter or anything like that. But they could cross that line.
Yeah. So what's going on, everybody? Bridging the Gap. We're back at it, and we may or may not be on a certain platform, and based upon the certain merits of a certain individual that we're not going to say names about. We're not going to say names about. We're just this is cordial. We'll have to figure it out. We'll have to get it. What are you writing down? Oh, okay. I'll let you write that message out to everybody.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything that's gonna get us in trouble. But please, guys, do something. Help us out.
Make it happen.
Write the office or something.
Write your senator. Write your senator.
Get us a lawyer. We need to get out.
We're stuck.
So I don't know what that's about. We're gonna have to delve into it after what happened last week. That was the first thing that came out of my mouth, bro. We're on the list. If something's gonna go bad next week, I already know it. Yeah. But we're gonna have to figure it out.
Right.
But we're on YouTube, so until we figure it out, we're just gonna post it. I think it's on the page right now.
Come subscribe to the YouTube. We've been trying to grow the YouTube anyway, so come on over, subscribe. We're here for a long while. We're here for a good time, not a long time. You know, that was kind of the motto with that. So
right, we're just gonna shift to where we can talk about. We still don't know what we said wrong, but I've said some things. Dev said some things in the past. I'm surprised that it hasn't happened already.
Yeah, it hasn't happened sooner.
To be honest.
Yeah, right. Hey, producer Kiki, just want to let you know too. Let us know when we get to that hour mark, okay? I don't know what you want to do. Give me a signal, something.
So where's your mask at, bro?
My mask?
Yeah, you didn't get your mask?
What? I'm confused. What are you talking about?
The fucking coronavirus, bro.
Oh!
You haven't got your mask yet?
No, I haven't got it yet. I was actually going to buy several, you know, like a family pack.
Right.
You know
just
what I mean?
rock them.
Rock them out. Maybe even like stylize a little. Bro, you know, it's Bridging the Gap face masks. Perfect, bro.
We should go grab some and print them up. Get them out tomorrow.
Guys,
dude, we're giving away our ideas. All right. No, that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing.
Like right now, Joe Budden's watching the show. Like, write that down.
Write that down. Get it. Yeah, Joe. I know you're over here stealing it for State of the Culture. Yeah, I know Joe. You are.
Let's be real, Joe. We know.
We're gonna start that. We're gonna start that at some time. Some protest and some campaign to be like, Joe, stop stealing it. Stop stealing it. They stole our office idea. You seen it?
Yeah. Well, I've seen it.
Yeah, I think Screen Man's over there looking all over the internet for ideas and be like, here, guys, do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, update on that. That's like we talked about it last week when you said like you asked me that question about what I thought about it, and I said, well, it wasn't nothing tangible to me because like I was around when the AIDS virus hit. Mm-hmm. That was like right in your face in America, heavy. Right. Like you could see people. I could see it was tangible. So to me, that just sounds like something else that always on the list of Ebola and all that. That really doesn't hit home.
Right.
But I think you were saying, tell us about the conversation you had with somebody. I think that hits the point about the actual percentages of that compared to something like the regular flu.
Right. So the argument that I had on Facebook a few days ago, actually we can't even talk about them no more. They don't get any look. No love. We were talking on an unnamed platform, and they wanted to say that the flu virus is deadlier than the coronavirus. And I said, oh, because it's killed more people, because the flu has killed 18,000 people this year, as where corona has only killed, I think it's now almost 3,000 people now. So people are saying, well, yeah, so the flu's obviously deadlier, and it says, no, that's not the case, because you have to look at how many people are infected. As of right now, I think it's closer to probably getting closer to 90,000 people infected. And 90,000 people to 3,000 people is a 2.5% mortality rate, meaning that it kills anybody who gets infected with it. There's a 2.5% chance that you might die, versus somebody who gets the flu virus, right? Which again, 18,000 people died, but 29 million people just in America, I think, get the flu. And only, so that's what, I think it's 0.06 or it's 0.006% of people with the flu die, right? So I want you to think about this for a second. Like this is just some math I did. The world's population, if you did the world's population and then killed off 2.5%, it's 3/4, it is 3/4 of the American population. Like there's 330 million people in here. I think I did the math. It's like 275 million people in the whole entire world would die.
If it gets to those numbers.
It's the whole world. But I'm just saying, in my eyes...
percentage-wise, it's like a per capita thing.
Yeah,
when people mention statistics and numbers, you have to look at, like, per capita. Like, what is the crime rate in this area? It could be a low percentage, but it's high for how many people live in that area compared to other areas.
Right.
People don't do that math. They just say, look at the percentages.
No, just look at these numbers. This one's 1,800, and
All
this one's
these people,
3,000.
yeah.
So that's bigger. So therefore, this one. But
Right.
you didn't really look at the real math like you said, per capita. And I think that's very true. It's just, and I was only using that because I don't know if the whole world will get infected with this or not. I'm not trying to make
Right.
hysteria.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for proportion, if you want to know how big 2.5% can be, it could literally be almost the whole entire if the whole world got infected, basically 3/4 of the American population would be gone, so to speak. Like
That's a big number if it spread.
275 million people dead.
If it hit the numbers of flu.
Right.
We'll just compare it to flu. What you said, 29 million?
29 million.
If it infected 29 million, it was 2%.
Exactly. I said
We're going to have a whole new vaccine
yeah, exactly.
popping up. Like, you got to take this. You got to take the coronavirus vaccine.
So you can't get the coronavirus. Yeah, and the
So-
anti-vaxxers would be coming for us now.
But what I seen that was coming, I'm seeing more and more that it's getting into the United States. Like, you got places like, here, I got some written down, like Washington, Oregon. Cali has the most. The deaths have been up in Washington State.
Yeah, there's 6 of them now.
6 of them now. It went up. Yeah, I seen some more like Utah, Arizona. The East Coast was safe until over the weekend. They got 1 in New York and 1 Massachusetts and like 4 in Florida. So it's like that where we're at on the East Coast, Pennsylvania down. There's nothing all the way down to Florida. And you got some in Texas and stuff like that. So that starts to worry me now in the effect like, okay, all right,
It's
now
for realsies.
yeah, it could touch ground. It might be tangible. We might start seeing it around this area. I wouldn't be surprised, Pennsylvania pops up on the thing. So now you got to look at those things.
Right, and you have to actually be cautious. From what I understand, a lot of this stuff, though, I mean, that 2.5% isn't as big as you think it is, but it is. But also, this is really affecting people with respiratory diseases and the older and elderly. The old and young are very susceptible to it. So I mean, your people closer to maybe my age, your age, like in between those ages, it's not nearly as deadly, although, the possibility still exists.
Right. You think it could be misdiagnosed, though, as the flu because it has the symptoms of the flu?
Right. It has the same symptoms. I think the only thing that would come with it, though, is that because this is the thing, too, is a lot of people just experience mild symptoms.
Right.
And that's why reason why it's deadly is because of the fact that it masquerades almost as the flu. So people such as you and me might have flu-like symptoms. Like you just said, people will diagnose that you have the flu. But the problem is whenever you go to grandma's house, you don't have the flu. You have coronavirus.
It's going to grandma.
And if it goes to grandma, I mean, it's going to be pretty insane for her. You know what I'm saying? Or, children, babies, like my nieces and all them. That's something to think about is, during this outbreak, I mean, especially if it gets to this state, like I think the minute that I see the outbreak in this state, I'm going to stay away from my nieces and old people. Like, I'm seriously going to stay away just because if I were to get it or carry it, and then I would, I'd feel like the worst person in the world. So
you'd be in that thing. Well, that brings up a good thing because it's going into the panic mode and the usual things when something comes out, you blame it on that person. Like yesterday, there was a video, some dude, there was a Chinese guy sitting there smoking a cigarette, just minding his business. Some guy pulls up the Facebook, is like, starts talking about the coronavirus, threw a glass of water at him, but Chinese dude whooped his ass for doing it, right? So same old hate, like just saying, oh, he's Chinese, and I don't even think the guy was Chinese,
right.
If I remember correctly. It was just, you look that part, so it's your fault. You know what I mean?
Right.
People doing that bullshit and going out with that. So I think it's going to cause a lot of that. There's numbers. Now we're going into the numbers part about business. Like China had to shut down a lot of stuff. They're looking at it right now. Like, are they going to be the hub? They think it's going to affect the deals we just made with them because we won't be able to grab some things.
Yeah, right. Because there's things that could be carrying it. And I was talking to David, one of my mentors, on a chat the other day, and he's down in Texas. He canceled his trip to Italy, and he also told me that this disease, I guess, can live on the surface of things for up to 29 days, almost a whole month.
And that's on things that don't have life, like storage. Like, if we brought stuff over in containers, it could have it on it.
Yeah, I could still carry it on there.
See, that's the part right there that is going to make it. We get a lot of shit from China especially since we squashed the deal, set up that deal. So to me, my conspiracy mind comes in because look, also, bro, our stock market last week crashed, the highest ever in a week.
Wow.
In history.
In history?
In
hey,
history.
shout out Donald Trump.
Yeah, they call it the Trump slump.
Yeah.
That's what they're calling it, the Trump slump. And he's all worried. That's why he keeps downplaying it in the media, because he knows he has to have this up to go when it's time to go into campaign season. Now he has to, because it is campaign season. He has to have these numbers up. So he's downplaying what it really is and how it's going to affect people. So all I could say is, hey, man, what I've seen, wash your hands. Wash your hands a lot, you know what I mean?
Sanitize, yeah. Well, that was the importance that they were talking about in the media, is like, it's just getting back to the basics of your health and just saying, wash your hands when you go to places is like the biggest thing that they could tell you. I got a hand sanitizer sitting right beside the desk right now, and every time I'm out and about, come back, putting that stuff on.
I'm a person that, like, I wash my hands when I use my bathroom or cooking. But now I've been washing my hands a lot. Like when I'm coughing, make sure you cough. Like, don't cough. Like, there's just precautions. Don't be crazy, because I don't know how far it's going to really go. But the funny shit about it is,
okay,
the dude who Trump appointed to be in charge of this whole gig, though he's a Christian freak, a God freak, right? So he's not going to be in the sign. Mike Pence is in charge of it. Yeah. He's not going to be involved in the sign. He doesn't even believe in his science.
Here's even the best part, bro. I don't know if you saw this. So during that whole thing where they were anointing that thing, Trump had a guy who was going to work with the VP on that board. He was going to be the chairman of that board to get it done. And then basically, like, some interviewer said, "Are you mad that Donald Trump just nullified your position because he just replaced you with Pence?" And he's like, no, I'm happy to work with Pence. And as he was saying it, Trump walked away just walked off of stage and walked away. Yeah. Walked away.
He's got to downplay it, man. He's got to look at
crazy.
He's got to look at his point.
It just does not bode very well for him in re-election time, I think. And, I'm not even really too worried about the election anymore with all this stuff going on, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. But the fact of the matter is, it's a big part of it, because these things are known to happen in history around these times to bring uproar to people. Mm-hmm. So it shows different things. If you go back in history, it shows certain things. But like Kiki was mentioning anyway, they're saying alcohol. That's another funny thing, because they're no Coronas. People are staying, and that's a brand thing, a marketing and brand thing. Corona is getting, like, they're getting like 40 to 50% less in sales because it's just a Corona.
Just as it says Corona.
Right.
And people by association are like, I don't want to get the coronavirus.
So I'm not drinking Coronas.
You think it would go up because the joke? They would be making the joke like, I can't get it, guys, because Corona. Yeah. Bro, what if Corona is actually the cure? Corona.
It could be.
And we just need to get some Corona and limes.
Corona and limes, and you're
Hey,
good.
Tony Romo knows.
Tony Romo knows.
Yeah, he's in those commercials.
Shout out to Tony for crushing that deal, getting $17 million, Good for him.
Yeah. So speaking of the alcohol, this is something that kind of came up on a also serious note. I ran across this article about how alcoholism is a growing health concern for women, because I don't really know. They don't really know the exact cause, obviously, but they think in a change in culture where it's become cool for women to be in this kind of binge drinking scene that they weren't until like the 70s, like, you know what I mean, up until that point where they kind of became that. And it's grown into now where you have women, 35 years old with cirrhosis of the liver, and they don't think that, these women are saying, I never thought that I would get cirrhosis of the liver until, and then one day, they go in, she keeps telling herself that's not what she has, and, 35 years old, they go in and tell her, yeah, you have cirrhosis. And
well, I'm trying to understand that, because from my understanding, like, women drink, I don't see a difference in it. I don't know if it's the binge part of it or whatever. But I've always, in my lifetime and before that, even when women back in the 50s and 60s, they used to drink a lot because they were at home. And they were dealing, under the suppression and all that before they got, I could imagine a spike in it when the more independence came, where it was like you could vote, you could, you know what I mean, a spike in it. They're more powerful, more women's empowerment nowadays. I could see a spike in it, but enough for not to know that.
They were saying the dangerous drinking behaviors like binge drinking, where you start doing like serious damage, like, because people can drink a little bit here and there throughout the week, and you're not going to hurt your liver all that much, you know what I mean? But then whenever you're like those people that go in those behaviors, like say binge drinking, right, where you just get drunk and you drink a lot of alcohol really fast, and it does a severe amount of damage to the point where your liver can't heal it, so it just starts scarring. and those kind of behaviors end up making it to where it gets so scarred up. That's what cirrhosis is. So, and it leads to several other health problems too, because I guess it has a lot to do with like women's mental health now too, because
if you drink a lot, you're gonna have mental health problems.
And
it's a depressant.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what it gets into, is depression, like higher rates of depression in women from 25 to 38 or something like that.
So what's the cause? Did they have anything to say why they thought that the women were drinking more or dangerously drinking?
Well, the first thing is, like I said, the study shows from various like things from back in the past, so like around the time of the 70s, like when the 70s came around, like late 60s, early 70s, there was a change in culture where I think because of things like Vietnam, the liberation, Woodstock kind of vibes, stuff like that, women became more, I guess, more of them were engaging in these drinking behaviors, I guess, because of women's rights being passed throughout the 30s and 40s and 50s. Right. And eventually they got to a point where then, they were able to go out into the culture and out into the world and do all these things and partake in the parties and whatnot. They weren't just looked at stay at home, do this, do that, cook and clean, etc.
So what took it so long, if we're saying is you're saying it's been building since that point? Well, then they just now are releasing this?
Right. I think they're just now getting to it. Like they didn't realize it was a problem, because I'm sure those first few generations are just saying like, oh, and then now they're just noticing a trend with like the younger generation, like the women that are, like I said, the 25 to 30s, because they're like, all these women here, that's just what it is.
It could be too, like, remember that challenge where you see a lot of people, and I believe they were really doing that, because I seen somebody do it live, that there was a lot of females doing it too, where they were, and I believe that you're influenced by a lot of bullshit you see on social media. That challenge where they were drinking like fifths, guzzling a fifth of like vodka.
Yeah.
I've seen somebody do that, and it came from that thing, and I'm like, why would you do something like that?
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I didn't see the after effect, because I kind of was like, that was dumb as fuck, and I don't want to be here when all the EMT and police come, because you're gonna fall out. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're gonna fall out right now. So, but there was people there. So, but obviously,
but that's still, even when there's people there, it's still scary. I mean, just why even? I mean, that leads me to a question of why even drink. I mean, this isn't just for women, but like, why even drink so much to the point where you become like just destroyed? I mean, literally like passed out and YOLO. Kiki says back from behind the keyboard. You only live once, I guess. But
some people do that. Some people, a lot of people are disguising it. To me, you got to be fucked up, man. To get constantly fucked up, you have to be fucked up sober. Like you're trying to run for something to hide for if you're constantly doing it. So you have some
There's
issues.
a problem you don't want to deal with, that you're incapable of dealing with. You don't know how, so you just suppress it by going to functions or parties or just drinking.
And I've noticed this a lot too, though. Like, because I worked in the field, there was very few women that came and got help for alcohol and drug addiction. It was mostly men.
Right.
Women are able to hide it well, and they're able to outlast it longer, because let's be honest, we're probably, if we're looking at them numbers, I guarantee you a lot of them women are like mothers. So they're like hanging on by threads because they have kids until they hit that rock bottom, because that's the only way you're going to go get help, is if you hit rock bottom.
Well, let me put it to you this way, and this is a question that'd be a little controversial, but do we think it's because of the gender roles? Then that, like, for instance, you see a guy who just gets totally like trash and drunk at the party all the time, like you look at that guy, you say, man, he's an idiot, but I know some people look at a girl who gets drunk and trash all the time. Some people say she's an idiot, but other people will be like, oh no, she's just struggling, she needs some help, there's something, going on, whatever. And we kind of like, I don't know, we give more help to those, like they get more help, I guess, from the social, like the people around them, but they don't get them to the medical help they need, maybe. And men, they don't have it, so eventually they just have to come within themselves and say, I gotta go to the doctor, I have to.
Or mostly you find when men, it is because they hit a point where somebody made them.
Yeah, right.
Like whether it was the court, because they're driving drunk. I think women more in general are just more responsible than men, so nobody's gonna make them do anything unless it gets to a point.
Like you said, they might just be binge drinking at home.
Yeah, or they got a driver. They're just more responsible. They think ahead of time. Men don't. So I think it's something like that. I think it's something, and most men are to that point where they're like coming home and then the wife gives them that ultimatum: go get help or not. I know that's a fact because I sat in these things and listened to these people talk. Like, I had to come.
I had to be here.
My wife was
gonna, like divorce papers were on the table.
Right, I have to come here, so it's going to take more time. So that's probably what it is. The more and more independence of the woman, like maybe she's like probably taking on that role of everything, and she's probably taking that role on too.
Right, just it's like her release, the way to get away.
Yeah, and it's just getting out of control.
And it is a shame too, because you know, like I have alcoholics in my family, and you know, it's prevalent. I mean, not really from the women's side, I guess, but you know, I could just there's people. I mean, there's people that can be alcoholics and function, but you know, the real health concerns that are the struggle of it. You know, like whenever you get older, and then like, you know, this woman here is dealing with now is, you know, cirrhosis or various other high blood pressure, etc.
Right.
You know, it's just not a good look.
Yeah, alcohol is not the thing you want to have. It's probably the up there of the things you want to have as an issue.
Yeah, definitely.
As an issue, like as far as like long-term effects, right now effects, it's a bad thing to indulge in. Everybody indulges in something. People like food, sugar. You know what I mean? But I think alcohol is pretty high on the list of the things you don't want to indulge in like that.
Yeah, my last piece on this, and this is just kind of like a jab at Kiki, and she can get mad at me if she'd like, but I don't like the YOLO mentality, only because, you know, there's people that say, YOLO, you only live once, but then imagine being 35 and that reality hits you. Imagine that. Like, you know, because everybody's like thinking, because I know we're a younger generation, we're all sitting there thinking to ourselves like, YOLO, you know what I mean? Like we're just living our life now. And then, you know, like then you're getting older, things are happening in your life, and then you realize like at 35, you're like, well, I didn't expect to be like having life or death health issues right now. And imagine like the quality of life and everything, like that'd be horrible, man. And for something that you could have easily prevented, because I've been to parties and, you know, I've drank and everything else. And, you know, like me, I just always had that thing in me where it's like I got to a point, I'm like, this is where I need to maintain at. I don't need to drink anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
but there's people that list that
there's
point.
people that can do that. There's people that don't want to do that. There's people that can't do that. So it's more of a pick your poison, bro. Everybody's going to have something that they're going to be like, because that could go either way too. A person could do everything in life. Like they could wake up at 35 and have a heart attack because they busted their ass to fucking work. Mm-hmm. It's just pick your poison, man.
Right. Well, we're all, obviously, I'm not saying we're obviously all going to die. Yeah, you only live once. I'm saying though, like, there's things you could do to not put yourself in a position where you're 35, right? Your chances. I'm saying, because that way increases your chances if you're going to live your life that way, or if you're, you know, going to be addicted to alcohol and become an alcoholic or anything really. You know, I'm just saying, like, all things in moderation, and, you know, don't use something like how we have this in this culture that, oh, you only live once, you know, because people like to say that as a quick toss away to say, oh, this is the reason why I'm allowed to misbehave and or you know, like mess up my life right now or be irresponsible for that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, just pick your poison, right? That's all I can say. Everybody has one. Some are gonna kill faster. It's just no matter what it is. I've seen this a lot in people in general.
Yeah, mine's Girl Scout cookies.
Alcoholism is a bad one at the top of the list. I'll tell you that. It's very bad.
Zach said, I'm getting blackout drunk tomorrow morning, y'all. Hashtag Bacardi Gold.
Zach who? Zach Davenport, he's getting drunk in the morning? My boy's getting drunk in the morning? Okay, well, you're the person I guess we really need to be talking to right now, Mr. Davenport.
Hey, man. YOLO.
yeah, I go to YOLO. Okay.
Fuck it.
listen, right now it's like a God and the devil kind of conversation. Like, there's YOLO over here, and there's me like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's like, well, whatever you want to do, you do it.
No, don't get me wrong. I've seen a lot of fucked up shit with people on alcohol. I've seen it.
Demonetized. We're off. No, I'm just kidding.
I've seen some stuff, but I just look at it like, you know what I mean? It's something that they're gonna have to deal with. It's a conversation. It depends on how close they are. It's how close you are to that person. You really can't you'd be fucking talking to a wall at that particular point. Until they hit that rock bottom, it's very useless to talk to somebody when they're in that.
Yeah, right.
And it sucks because you could, like, if it was your best friend or something or a family member, you could say something, but they're just going to give you the bullshit smoke, and then you're just gonna have to separate yourself.
A good story I could tell you that in relation to that was a person I knew. Jail's what saved him because he was like a kid at 16 just drinking his sorrows away. And then, he was just being an idiot. And one day he was out selling like hard drugs. Cops came, they got him, came out. And then now he's not into like alcohol or any of that anymore, like every day, which is kind of cool. Smoke some weed.
Jail can save you. When you get in there with Jimmy and Bubba and they're like, yeah, come here, little guy. Yeah, your life's going to be like, I don't want to go back there. And you really think, what got you there? Yeah. So jail's a big deterrent.
Well, I think what it was is he didn't have alcohol and he had to he literally
there's
had
alcohol in jail.
I'm saying,
there's jail wine. It's 10 times stronger.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he didn't have it to where like he didn't have it as often, and he had to sit there and actually, I think, deal and think with his problems.
I get what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. He realized it was a deterrent because you can get anything you want in jail. You're not going to get it at the regular, but you could get anything you want. It depended on what jail you're in. So that's just one of those things. But it goes to that, what the fuck was I just thinking? I lost my point. But it just goes to those things, like back to what I think should happen in school. Every school should have to do the Scared Straight program.
Scared Straight?
Yeah, you should have to go to jail.
All kids had to take a field trip to prison?
You got to go to jail.
That would be crazy.
Fuck a museum. Go to the jail.
Imagine you're like your whole like 6th grade class of like 100 students into a jail, and they're just like prisoners like trying to fight them and like, you don't want to be here, kids. You don't want none of this. And all of a sudden like little Susie like literally pees herself because she's so scared. And it's like,
hey, could have saved little Susie's life because let's be honest, the opiate crisis is little Susie.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one that's pretty much on the opiate crisis, so it could save her life. But more toned down some, but just showing those things, what's happening, maybe showing some of the health issues and all those things wrapped into one. But I'm going to tell you, that's how I dealt with my daughter. It had nothing to do with drinking. She was just fighting a lot. And in the city, they don't just slap you on the wrist and call your mom. They take you to the jail. Put you in the jail. So I was like, at the 4th time, I was like, listen, you want to do, she was like 13. I said, can I just leave her there for like an hour or two and not come get her? And you just tell her, he said he's not coming to get you. You guys spend it and then just run through the whole spiel. You're about to go to jail, all that. Can you do that? They were like, yeah, fine, because I knew the guy who was my basketball coach. So I talked to him.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, yeah, we could do that. So I left her there, and then I just came down, sat and watched the monitors while they went in there and told her he's not coming. So boom, boom, boom. And then when it comes to putting the handcuffs, you're going, she comes out and see me. Then we broke it down. Like, if you want to live this life, you're going to go to jail. It's that simple. And that worked. So she stopped using her hands until she had to.
Yeah, right.
Don't start the fight. I'll never get mad at you if you finish it. You protect yourself, but don't start it. So it works.
Right. So I guess we can move on to maybe a little bit of a lighter note here, talk about some NFL football. I like football.
The Combine,
Combine is out and about and ready to go. And, you talked about our needs for the teams. I mean, who do you got as those guys that are looking pretty good right now?
Who I could see us picking up. First, I want to say there's a lot of speed in this draft. Defensive speed, big guy speed. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the guys that I see. Like, everybody's got the list of people, like the Lambs, everybody that they can name, Tua, all them. That's who they're talking about. I go look for those gems. Like, where can we find that gem in there that's going to be that star? You get him in the late round. He's going to be on the board. Stuff like that. So,
yeah.
I look at a lot of stuff like that. So, for the Steelers, I still think we need to get a quarterback at some point. We're not going to be able to get it, but a quarterback that was doing some shit yesterday that at the Combine that scored high that people didn't really have.
Was he the one from Baylor or Oregon?
Oregon, Justin Herbert. I like him. I like the receivers didn't have to break their routes too much. He had some nice throws, time, and arm looked great, accuracy, all that. So I think he's a sleeper in that draft. I think things are going to get interesting at the quarterbacks coming out. He might slide up in there if he keeps, impressing people. We also need a receiver, tight end. I think you mentioned him too. I seen him. He had a great camp from Florida Atlantic, Harrison Bryant. He looks good. His footwork's good. He blocks good. His mentality is, I'm blocking first, catch the ball second. A lot of tight ends are like catch first, block second.
Yeah, right.
You want the tight end to be like, I love the block.
Yeah,
and
right.
then but I'd be able to get off that block and go out and
Get
get
a
in a
pat.
pat. Yeah, so I like him. I think he's gonna go high in it. And then we need a couple running backs. I seen a couple that performed well that people aren't really talking about. They had some good numbers that I want to see. Where black and gold is Cam Akers out of Florida State. Power. He's got that power and speed, quickness, football quickness. He's not too fast, but he's got football quickness where his footwork can make you miss. And I love seeing that. I'd love to see that. We need help with that. And then the OSU J.K. Robbins, I like him. Or Dobbins, I'm sorry. I like him out of OSU. I think he'll be around the second draft. We got to grab one of those people. I see fit that would be a good second round pick for us because we don't have no first round. So
Yeah.
that's who I think.
That's true. It's interesting for you. You have to start looking in who's going to make it to the second
round
because you guys don't even have that first round. But I mean, you got Minka Fitzpatrick out of that, so that's a good look.
Yeah, it was a fair exchange.
Yeah, definitely. After the way he played this year, definitely. For us, I mean, we have 2 first rounds this year, and we got to get a wideout. I mean, that's just point blank. Period. I think the Raiders will probably go defensive free agency this year. I think they're gonna they need to build up the defense, and I think they're gonna go sure thing, because they kind of went offense in free agency last year, and they got some of the pieces they needed. Although Trent Brown was kind of like a lackluster disappointment because he played good but he was never healthy. The dude was he missed 6 or 7 games the whole year, and you can't have your starting right tackle miss 6 or 7 games. And that's a problem. And I think they're also going to grab an offensive lineman in the draft too. I like Ruggs, but I'm that's my dilemma is I don't know what you do. Because you got a guy like Tyrell Williams who's big, who's huge. I don't know if you go get a big wideout or if you get a great route running speedy wideout like that Antonio Brown kind of build, right? Not quite maybe in that from that 6 foot to 5.
Just bring Antonio Brown back.
Yeah, he's looking for a job.
Dealing with that headache.
Yeah. Right. No, bro, he's gonna change this time. Now I think you burn every bridge in that locker room the way he went out.
Oh, bro, he's not stepping on this field this year.
Yeah, right, exactly. So
he might never.
But I think that's the way they're leaning. They have to get a wide out there. I mean, they just no matter how they look at it, they have to get a wide receiver that if you're going to roll with Derek Carr, that you can build a rapport with and go through. Kind of like how they had Amari Cooper, because if not, I just can't see them being anything on offense.
Well, you got Renford. He could be the possession guy. You got a great tight end. You got Tyrell. That could be the big guy that could do the
50-50 balls.
Mediocre stuff in the middle. That's how I would do that. I would get somebody to take the top off so they don't have to double tie.
Right.
So Tynell you can do different things with because he's the guy that I would want to focus on. Mm-hmm. But all you need is somebody that they don't really have to. You just have to keep people honest by throwing that ball to him because he's taking the top off the defense. Now you're bringing the safety out, and you can do mad things. Last year, Tyrell's seen a lot of doubles.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have a lot, and the tight end.
Because they didn't have that. Because again,
they didn't have nobody fast.
Because they had that. They had the whole plan. I'll get AB, and AB's and then basically they're gonna have to pick. You're gonna one-on-one Tyrell. You're gonna one-on-one AB. But that's not the case.
Yeah, pick your poison.
But I liked my guy who I did like. Because I have this dilemma, but the guy I liked was Higgins out of Clemson.
Yeah, he's tough.
He's just a big, tough receiver, and I don't know, I just like the build of him.
Well, you could get what's his name proved that this year that you could be
big and fast.
Big and fast. Metcalf, yeah. I seen him outrun the route like he ran past the ball. It wasn't a bad thrown ball by Russell. It was looked underthrown because he just flew through the route.
He just ran through it.
So, you know what I mean? You could get some big guys with speed that could take the top off because that's the thing I was telling you about speed. This is probably the fastest draft class that I've seen of speed of big guys. Mm-hmm. Like that dude from, what's his name, Timmons, from the linebacker from Timmons. Mm-hmm. He ran like a 4.5. Like he was moving. Like, mm-hmm. I forget his name, Isaiah Timmons. And then you got that offensive line, Micah Becton from Louisville. Mm-hmm. Dude's like, he ran a 5'1", and he's like 300-something pounds.
Yeah.
That is unheard of. So there's a lot of big, fast people in this draft that you can, it's very, very, you can find some big people that can move. And I think that's where the game's headed. Like, the more speed. They're trying to get more and more speed to make it exciting to catch up. So we'll just see where it goes. Well, a couple people that were disappointing though. Let's talk about that because they hype these people up so much, and I watch college football. I see these motherfuckers. They're not as great as they are. I think it's where they're at. I think it's who their agent is and who supports them and the other people they don't want to look at. You know what I mean? They just don't take the time. They just get notes handed to them. Say talk about him, like
talk about him
on ESPN and all that. They don't really look at all that shit, except a few of them. But Jake Fromm out of Georgia looked horrible. His numbers were he looks horrible.
Well, a lot of people are talking about Fromm going in the early rounds too, which is kind of crazy. So.
Yeah, and then the receiver, what's his name, Chenault from Colorado. They had him high, and he just looked horrible too, and he's slow. So people are just, and I don't see any football quickness. I can take a mid-range, but if you got football quickness, that's what I'm looking for. You don't necessarily, a sprinter, you would just always get sprinters at wide receiver.
Yeah, right.
But that means nothing. We had a guy that I played football that had world-class speed, bro. Yeah. Like he was a dart, but he had no hands.
Had no hands, no route running. Because you can run in a straight line, but eventually at some point, I need you to break down and go left. I need you to break down and go right. Or hell, I need you to go left then right.
Yeah, or I need you to get off. I need you to be able to hand to hand. If you get jammed at the line of scrimmage, that speed means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's like the problem like they ran into when they the Raiders drafted Jacoby Ford. I remember that. Like they drafted this 5'8" wide receiver, and he had all this speed, but they end up not being able to do jack with them.
And all you have to do, that's all I do. That's what I do with their speed guy. Mm-hmm. And if they don't know how to hand and get off that, is just push one of their shoulders, inside or outside. Play the inside position and just jam one of those shoulders. So as soon as they go this, they're not getting off the starting blocks.
Yeah, and the only way that you can beat them is what Kansas City did whenever Oakland was playing them that way. In that first game of the season, I remember this past year. Mm-hmm. Motion. That's it. It's the only thing you can do.
Well, you just kind of try to get them scheme-wise. If you bring them back across and then get them behind somebody and then break out so they get clean off the ball.
Oh, yeah, right.
If you can't get clean off the ball and get that safety out of there, it means absolutely nothing.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that. We're getting into that part where the draft is coming up. It's going fast too.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be next month, ain't it? End of this month.
Yeah, we got to do our show, our thing. We're gonna try to do a live show actually from wherever we're at when we go to the draft.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well, that's
maybe
what I'm saying.
The armchair
our armchair refs said they're gonna set something up and want to do something. They're talking to Zach's where we've been going the past 2 years, so.
Yeah, we should try to keep that popping.
Yeah. So speaking of drops, Pete Buttigieg. I want to say Buttigieg. Oh my goodness, did I say it right? No, Buttigieg. I screwed it up. Pete Buttigieg drops out of the presidential race. First openly gay presidential candidate drops out of the race, and he said bearing a very horrible loss in South Carolina, and a poor performance with black voters kind of led to his
in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Who won South Carolina? Crazy Joe Biden.
Crazy Joe Biden.
Didn't he win South Carolina?
I'm not sure.
He did.
I don't know if it was him or if it was. I don't think it was Bernie because I want to say it was
Bernie.
Joe.
Bernie didn't win. South Carolina. South Carolina is one of those. My mom lives in Sumter, South Carolina. It's one of those weird states that, it's weird down there to me personally because I'm used to city life, but it's kind of like country, laid back. I don't think they would go openly Christians, so they're not going to support a gay person doing that.
Biden, and then Bernie.
Yeah, they're going to support the more conservative liberal in that sense. That's not coming out and just saying, they're okay. But if and he's openly gay, what I think that was with him going in there, they think he's a good candidate for something. They wanted him to get out there and get the exposure for whatever they want. They knew he wasn't going to win it, but what I call a heat check. They wanted to see where the voters' minds are at in those tough states. So he wasn't going to get that far. People like some of his policies. I've seen him. He did the runs on the shows that I watch, like the Breakfast Club and all that. And I listened to him. He had some great ideas. I just think America's just not ready. That Christian part that you need some of those votes from aren't going to vote for a gay.
Yeah, openly gay. They're just that southern area is just not ready for it.
Yeah.
And the big question though that comes down to this is when Buttigieg leaves, right? Who is he going to endorse? Because that's what they're thinking about is the Democratic Party. When these people start dropping out, they take their following.
They got to support somebody.
And they got to say, is it Joe? Is it Bernie? Because really,
he did come out. He's going with Joe. He came out
Oh,
earlier today. Him and the other guy.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's going with Joe Biden.
He's
So
going for Jiggity Joe.
he's going for Joe. Joe.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
sorry, Joe. Joe don't even look like he's here, bro. Like
Yeah.
he's just like, where am I at today? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like push him out there and just start talking.
And I gotta be honest with you too. Like with Joe, like the only reason why I don't like Joe is I just don't think he sticks out. And this is just my political opinion. He doesn't stick out enough because he just all he really is just a slightly sweeter version of Republican to me. That's really all he is.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
voted on some things that is gonna cost him some things.
Yeah, I mean
That's
really
why.
all it is.
That's why. What's his name? Bernie is winning at this particular point. Like he's the front runner, is because people aren't going to trust that. And what they're not going to trust is because Obama didn't come out and say, "I'm supporting Bernie." I mean,
Biden.
That's why you're getting the numbers, and plus he's acting like an ass to me.
Yeah.
Like some of the things he's saying, like he said he's running for the position he held like 20 years ago
Yeah, right.
at a presidential fucking event. Like what's going on with that guy? They need to check him out and say, "Hey Joe, it's time to sit out, bro. We can't have you running this country and you don't even know where you're at."
Yeah, you don't even know where you are right now,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, and like I said, his ideas aren't different enough for him to stand out because what he strikes me as is like a slightly more caffeinated Hillary Clinton, but in male form. That's it. Like when I hear his politics and everything else, it's just the same thing that she was on her platform about when that last election, and I just can't get behind it. It's just I think you need something totally different. I'm just saying, like, if you're a Democrat, really, because I'm a kind of like a moderate, but Bernie, I think he just gives you that chance if you're the Democratic Party to say he's different enough, he'll stick out. There's actually like someone's actually going to vote for something. There's a dynamicism there.
I think what needs to happen too, I think people need to just let Bernie and Biden thump it out and then pick sides, start putting that support there, and then decide, because that's what happened last time also. Nobody support, like they knew nobody was putting out them policies from the Democratic side. You know what I mean? They were just worried about fucking with Trump. They didn't really say anything. So now people started looking like, oh my God, this dude's he's fucking with them, and he's actually saying some things that they could get behind. So that took away. And plus they said Bernie's people didn't even vote for Hillary.
Yeah, right.
Because it's such a divide that they had.
Right.
And you seen it on the thing they did in Nevada. They were up there just screaming at each other, not following the rules, pointing fingers, and nothing got accomplished. If they do that again, Trump's going to win again.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem too that'll probably happen is because of how I think. Because as a conservative, someone in the conservative party, I think there's ideals that most of the time you just kind of stick to, right? It's simple. It's very simple. Like this, and this is how it always is. Kind of like how I think religions kind of function something like this, and this is how it is, right? And like people in like Democratic Party, they're kind of like they're very like, okay, how do we make this happen? And they're like, and then they all fight about how to make it happen because they want to change things. They're the not conservative. What's the other party called? Progressive. They're progressive party. So, they always want to change things, but then they're like always arguing and fighting. Well, how do we think we should change this? Well, we got to do this, we got to do that. And then sometimes they never get nothing done. And, that's kind of like the issue at hand. So, and then they never want to, and then because of that petty stuff like you're talking about, they don't want to endorse the candidate that left because of that.
Yeah, because it's so much destructive behavior. They're like, fuck that dude because of what they were saying to that dude the whole time. We're not even voting.
Yeah,
we're not getting behind none of the policies because they're not. Yeah, it's a shit show. I looked at that and I was just like, yeah, these guys aren't gonna win. So to me, I mean, whatever's best for the country, I don't give a fuck who they are. You know what I mean? If it's gonna work, it's gonna work. You know how I feel about politicians.
Yeah, right.
They're just a bunch of
especially
bullshit.
Just the president too. I mean, just being like you said about the president, like we really think this guy really makes all that much of a change and difference in how everything else goes.
No, it's all really the same thing. It's just that there's so much different focus nowadays. Like I watched another thing about how they say about the socialism and all that.
Yeah.
We're talking about Denmark's socialism is what Bernie's talking about. He's not talking about Cuba.
He's not talking about Cuba. He's not talking about, and this is something too.
It's mostly free education and healthcare.
Right. And another thing too that I thought about is like all these people want to throw jabs at like you're paying for it, like as if the people who are voting for Bernie don't know that yes, my taxes will go up. That's the thing that I don't like is you always see people like, and it's like people like myself and other people get offended because it's like, yes, we understand that. That's what we're vouching for, that our tax money go to something that I think
that is worth.
That we can use, that you and me and everybody in this room right now can use versus, oh yeah, so that way and I'm not saying anything against the military, but the wars that we're fighting, because the people in the military deserve what they, like, their payment and all that more. I'm saying like the things that we're involved in with our military is what I'm saying. Like the shit that we're in over there, like I'm not with it all the time.
Right, but one more thing before we get to that time, wrap it up. It is the school, like the free. I understand that because you do the research in the 50s and 60s when the public school system and the college being paid for, what they were doing then, the numbers were great. They were able to manage it with less money. You weren't making as much money then, but they were doing those things then. You can't tell me we're like now that we're making more money than ever, that we can't offset that to make our educational system stronger. So, and that's when we were at the top of in the world of education, and we keep falling down to other countries because we're defunding everything. And that's what there's no teachers, there's more students. You just can't get the kids the proper education, so we can't compete on the global scale. That right there is very simple to me. People make it into something. It's very simple to me. Figure the shit out. Sit down and figure it out.
Yeah,
that's all I say about it.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's the problem though. Is I don't know if they will. Hopefully they'll learn a thing or two from bridging the gap and try and understand that.
Yeah, we're just faking this. I'm gonna beat the shit out of Dev after the show.
Right, guys. Anyway, in case you see me next week dead or with a black and blue eye, that was an accident.
I didn't do it.
I was playing baseball.
Hey, yo.
Free bridging the gap, by the way, guys. Yeah.
Yes. Start some petitions. Call that dude that runs it. Help us out.
Yeah. Get us out
Get
of
us some lawyers.
out of Facebook jail.
I need a lawyer.
Bro, we didn't listen, bro. We weren't even read our rights, our Facebook rights, bro.
No,
they didn't even tell us that we couldn't stream no more.
Right. So,
where's our Zuckin rights?
Yeah, we're innocent until proven guilty in this country. I want to know what I'm being charged with.
Exactly. You didn't even specify. Just said hate speech. Well, what was hate speech?
And
I
thought
want
we
to
had
know.
freedom of speech.
Water said, I already called Batman.
What are you talking about? You already called Batman.
He said that I already called Batman.
Oh, to help us?
Oh,
Yeah.
you called Batman to help.
Send him down.
I was like, what do you mean he already called Batman? I was like, wait. Like, when I heard it, I was thinking, like, we had a conversation where he's like, I call being Batman, like that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. None of us were talking about being any superhero anyway. Why are you saying you act like you call Batman? But now I get it. So, yeah,
Right.
man, Batman, if Batman's on the case, but this will be cleared up tomorrow.
This will be clear. Don't bring Robin, though. I never seen the use of why Robin was
Yeah,
around.
why even had Robin, right?
Yeah.
He just gets Batman into trouble. Facts.
Go to the YouTube. You see it up there. You see we're banned. Go to the YouTube. We got to build up that platform anyway, so this is just the motivation to push it over there and get it popping.
Yeah, so go subscrizzle to the U-Tizzle, bro. Free bridging the gap. As always, stay beautiful. Take care of yourselves. We are out of here. Have a good night. See you.